Michael Burry, the investor who became famous for predicting the massive 2008 housing market collapse in the US, appears to have recently placed a big bet against the US stock market. Well, this time around, Burry has bought $1.6 billion worth of financial instruments called options that would allow him to profit from a stock market fall.
If you've been watching the news or YouTube channels such as this one, you're aware that almost every billionaire, analyst, and economist has warned us that a financial crisis is just around the corner in 2024. From investing legends like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, who spoke about the speculations in the housing market, to Michael Burry, the big short investor, who is betting $1.6 billion that the stock market will crash once again. Even Barry Stern, one of the world's most successful and respected real estate investors, predicted that an economic tsunami is about to drown us all. Taking all of this into consideration, it's no surprise that 70% of Americans are worried about the upcoming recession. However, if you do a quick Google search and head over to Wikipedia to see a list of the recessions in the United States so far, you'll realize that recessions are nothing new. Recessions are simply a part of the market cycle after all. The market can't keep going up infinitely without any downturns. It's normal for the economy to reach a high before cooling down. But if you've been paying close attention and looking at the history of the United States, you'll realize that recessions used to be far more common. As much as we love to hate on the Fed and create memes to insult them, the Fed has been helpful for the citizens of the United States for a long time. Prior to the creation of the Fed, it was common to have only 2 to 3 years of consistent economic growth before seeing a recession. But after the central bank's manipulations, we have seen 6, 7, or even 8 years of continuous economic expansion until we broke the record with 10 years and 8 months of economic expansion. However, it seems like we have reached our peak of using the Fed's policy to avoid recessions, since we're approaching one soon. Having said that, how do you prepare for the next recession? How can we benefit from the upcoming crisis? And how can you make sure you get out of the next recession much better financially? We will answer all of these questions and many more. So give this video a thumbs up and let's dive in. Number 1. Cash is not trash. When times are good, people are throwing money at just about anything, from cryptocurrencies to digital NFTs. But when hard times come, having a little extra cash in the bank is perhaps the best safety net. During recessions, it's not uncommon for even the richest among us to start selling investments and storing more cash in the bank. Let's look at Warren Buffett as an example. Our favorite investing legend isn't known for being flashy. He's as wise as they come. Yet, even Buffett keeps lots of cash on the sidelines so he can jump on a good opportunity when he sees one. But how can normal folk like me and you prepare for this recession? The first thing you need to do is cut down on your unnecessary spending. Even small expenses like a daily cup of coffee at Starbucks or a new pair of sneakers can add up over time. And with the crazy inflation we've been seeing, every dollar you save is potentially one less dollar you need to borrow at a high interest rate. Over the past couple of years, we've seen prices of cars, phones, and other tech gadgets go up drastically because of supply chain issues. Although the prices have come down a bit in the past few months, it's still not back to normal. So if you want to make sure you're in a safe place financially in 2024, make sure to start saving more money as soon as possible. Cash is your best friend when things get rough, so you need to start saving some. Buy a used car instead of a brand new one. Stop eating out all the time, and avoid buying anything you don't absolutely need. Remember, it's not about being a financial expert. It's about forming healthy money habits, even when you don't feel like it. Your financial stability is in your hands. Number 2. Invest in liquid businesses. During recessions, it's common for many companies to lose money and go out of business. When this happens, the employees of the business usually suffer the most, because they lose their jobs and struggle to pay the bills. Think about the 2008 recession. Even major companies like General Motors, Chrysler, and AIG faced bankruptcy back then, and needed help from bigger, more stable companies or the government. So when you're thinking about investing your money, it's smart to pick businesses that have a steady stream of cash flow with a stockpile of assets in case things go south. For example, companies like Apple and Microsoft always have a lot of extra money on hand. Even when prices are going up, they'd rather have some of their money slowly lose value to rising prices than risk not having enough money to keep the company running during a recession. You can check how much money a company has by looking at its financial reports, especially the balance sheet. Most large public companies make this data available online for free. This way you can see if they've got enough cash to stay strong in hard times. Just keep in mind that not all companies will have as much extra cash as big names like Apple do, but the smaller companies might return a larger profit if you make the right investment. Number 3. A recession is an opportunity. During recessions, most people panic and start selling. But here's a shocking fact that poor people don't know. A recession might be the best time to start a new business. When the economy is booming and everyone's making money, the big established companies are at the peak of their powers. But when the market collapses, the larger companies face all sorts of issues from rising expenses to lower sales. And that's when startups can shine. Take WhatsApp for example. It started back in 2009, right in the middle of an economic crisis. A few years later, Facebook bought it for a mind-boggling $19 billion. Now with over 2 billion users, its valuation is even higher. Uber is another success story. It also began in 2009 and is now valued at nearly $50 billion, despite losing money every year for over a decade. There are many other examples like Pinterest, Venmo, Slack, Square, and of course, Bitcoin. The 2008 financial crisis inspired Satoshi Nakamoto to create Bitcoin, and it kickstarted a whole industry that turned everyday people into millionaires and even billionaires. Even Tesla, which almost went out of business during the crisis, didn't just survive. It became the most valuable car maker in the world. While other car companies were struggling to get by, Tesla saw a massive growth in sales and their stock market valuation. But it's not just about starting a business. It's also a great time to boost your career. When things are tough, stepping up at work can help you move up the career ladder faster. Just look at how many junior managers got promoted to senior positions when things got tough in the previous crisis. Number 4. Don't cash out. It's easy to be patient when everything is growing. If you purchased Bitcoin at $1,000 before its stratospheric rise, you have watched how your assets grew so dramatically over a short period of time. But during a bear market, the opposite happens. Countless psychology studies have shown that humans are naturally risk-averse, because losing money hurts us much more than the benefit we get from making money. When the scary news headlines are everywhere, most people don't have the stomach to stick it through. They end up selling their investments out of fear of losing it all. They act like the world is about to end. Ironically, if the world was actually about to end, how would money even save you? Jokes aside, the stock market has survived the Great Depression, World Wars I and II, endless recessions, and of course, the pandemic. The same pattern has been repeated over and over again for over 100 years, yet most people never learn their lesson. The market has always recovered and grown over time. The investors who actually made money are the ones who either sold before everything crashed, which is almost impossible since timing the market is not as easy as you might imagine, or waited until the crisis passed and stocks began to grow again during the expansion period. However, the most successful investors increased their investments during the Great Recessions, since they could scoop up large shares of companies for a massive discount. But most people aren't this logical and don't have the stomach to do this, which is why most people aren't as rich as someone like Warren Buffett. Number 5. Take advantage of the gig economy. During a recession, finding a job can become extremely hard, especially when companies are losing money and actively letting go of their employees, not hiring. However, thanks to the internet and the gig economy, there are countless opportunities to earn a full-time income from home through short-term contracts and freelancing. You can tap into this growing trend by offering your skills and services online. Whether you're a writer, graphic designer, web developer, or have expertise in any other field, there's always demand for freelancers. And by the way, you don't need to be an expert in these things. The fastest way to get more clients and increase your income is by undercutting on price and over-delivering in value. This will allow you to beat the competition and jumpstart your freelancing career. Remember, many skills are recession-proof. Even if you have a job, this not only allows you to earn income, but also diversifies your revenue streams, which is vital during economic downturns. By embracing the gig economy, you can turn your skills into a recession-resistant income source while maintaining flexibility and adaptability in a changing job market. One of my favorite freelancing websites is called Fiverr, which I've linked below. However, you might not have the time or the interest in picking up freelance work, especially since you're already working so many hours at work and come home exhausted. In that case, you should consider number 6, adding a passive income stream. Most people only think of active income streams, such as jobs or freelancing, to earn money. But passive income is the 8th wonder of the world, perhaps even more powerful than compound interest. Because passive income allows you to earn money even when you're not actively working. There are many ways to earn passive income, and I made a full video about it which you can watch by clicking that card above. My favorite way to earn passively is insanely profitable. But surprisingly, 99% of the world has never even heard of it. Click the link in the description to learn more. Number 7. Don't go into debt. If you don't already have an emergency fund with at least 3 months of expenses, you're in for a rough ride. A lot of people go into debt when they can't fulfill their basic needs. And if a recession happens as a result of a financial bubble or inflation, like in our case now, the Fed would raise interest rates to pop the bubble, which means any debt you take on will become even more expensive. In 2007, at the peak of the housing bubble, the Fed raised rates to 5.25%. Imagine what the rates were for consumers such as you and me. In the year 2000, during the dot-com bubble, the Fed raised rates to 6.5%. That's why recessions make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Poor people don't save enough money and fall into a debt trap with each economic crisis. During recessions, the poor borrow money from the rich to put food on the table, while the rich lend them money at crazy high interest rates, which makes them even richer. If storing cash isn't your thing and you're a bit old school with your investments, you're gonna love the next one. Number 8. Consider precious metals. In one of my previous videos, I talked about why gold is not a great investment, and people lost their minds in the comments. Some people even accused me of working with the Fed to screw over the taxpayer. Honestly, reading those comments was pretty funny. If you want to watch that video, I've linked it in the description. People completely misunderstood my point. I think having a small amount of precious metals is very useful, and I plan on buying some gold and silver myself. The chances of gold and silver remaining valuable throughout the world, even if the US economy falls 50%, is pretty high. But I don't think it's a good idea to sell all your investments and go all in on precious metals. That's stupid. It's not an apocalypse. And even if it was, gold wouldn't save you during an apocalypse anyway. With that clarification out of the way, I believe these metals tend to hold their value reasonably well when other investments struggle. You can invest in them by buying actual gold or silver bars, or through related investment options like ETFs or mining company stocks. But if your main reason for buying precious metals is to protect yourself from total economic collapse or interference from the Fed, buying stocks and ETFs doesn't make any sense. The only thing that makes sense is to buy physical metals and secure them safely on your own. Share this video with your family and friends who are worried about the recession. It could really help them out.